I came to the Droid 1 from the iPhone back in 2008. And the reason for that is because it had a unique design, and the commercials actually cracked me up. They were actually talking about the iPhone and what the iPhone didn't do. Now, Verizon arguably has not had a splash with the Droid ever since the Droid 1. Now, is this the phone that Motorola and Verizon can use to get back to that level of excitement for a Droid? Well, this is my Motorola Droid Turbo review. The Droid Turbo comes in 3 different colors. We have metallic red, metallic black, and also the ballistic nylon. The red and black editions are made with a metallized fiber material. It reminded me of a sturdier version of that soft touch plastic that became very popular within the last few years. Under these materials, the Droid Turbo includes a layer of Kevlar, which is a material 5 times tougher than steel. My review unit is the ballistic nylon variety, which in my opinion is the most attractive one. It's a 2x2 weave and provides a textured feeling to the back. The ballistic nylon does add 10 grams to the device. So instead of that normal 169 grams found on that metallized fiber, you'll end up with 179 grams on the nylon edition, which to me is a pretty good trade-off. There's also one more thing that Motorola had up its sleeve with this device. It is IP67 dust and water resistant, and also is Qi charging compatible. A wireless charging pad does not come in the box, but if you own any chargers from a previous phone, they should all work out with no problems. On the front, you'll find that 2 megapixel front-facing camera, and also the earpiece, which actually blends in with the front-facing speaker. On the bottom, the capacitive buttons are found, and they look like Kit Kat buttons, which is a good thing, but I'd rather have on-screen buttons. On the right side, you'll find the power button, and also the volume rocker is there. Both buttons has a textured feel, and they're also very clicky. At the bottom, you'll find the chin that Motorola likes to use so often, and also the USB port tucked right in there. The left side of the device is completely bare, leaving you with a smooth side. On the top, you'll find the standard headphone jack. Flipping the Turbo over on its back, you'll find the 21 megapixel camera with dual LED flash. In the middle, in matte black, you'll find that Motorola M logo. It's not a dimple like we've seen on the Moto X or the Nexus 6, but it's just a flat plate. And at the bottom, you'll find the Droid logo underlined in red with 64 GB written inside of it. On the non-Kevlar editions, you'll find just the normal Verizon logo. The Turbo feels great in the hands, especially the nylon. It is not slippery and provides enough grip to where I feel pretty confident holding it without a case. And also, I'm happy to report there isn't Verizon logos all over this device. Thank you, Verizon. The 5.2 AMOLED display houses the Quad HD resolution. You also have 565 ppi, and it's all wrapped in Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The overall look on the screen is fantastic. The colors are punchy, vivid, and viewing angles are all top-notch. Now, I wouldn't go as far as say the screen is matte, but taking this phone outside, I didn't have much glare as I would on other phones. Since the screen is a high 565 ppi, you can expect the text to be crisp, even zoomed all the way in, and even moving text is still crisp. You don't have that ghosting image that you see with lower PPIs. And generally speaking, anything up close on this screen looks amazing. You can use images, you can use text, you can have a video, or even a game. Everything looks crisp. Now, I don't think that 565 ppi is even needed at 5.2 inches, but heck, it looks amazing and I'll take it. Looking at the Turbo spec sheet, I had to take a double look. It actually shocked me. I didn't expect Moto to throw these top-notch specs into a carrier-exclusive device. With that being said, I was pleased to see that it came with the latest Snapdragon processor, which is the 805, which clocks in at an amazing 2.7 GHz. But Moto didn't stop there. They tossed in the Adreno 420 GPU at 600 MHz and the industry-leading 3 GB of RAM. Onboard storage, you'll have the options for 32 GB and also 64 GB. Now, just to note, the nylon comes in a 64 GB flavor only. Inside, you'll find the 3800 mAh battery, keeping you nice and charged throughout the day. More on this in the performance section. I know this may not be something many reviews speak on, but the vibrating motor inside is smooth. I mean, when your phone buzzes, it does not have that loose feeling. It's quick, it's tight, and it gives you an overall feel of a solidly built device. And that's the theme throughout this whole phone. Now, as far as radio bands, this is a world phone, so getting signals overseas shouldn't be a problem. It supports LTE and Verizon's newest service, XLT. It does support a limited amount of HSPAs and other GSM brands. They attempted to make this phone built for the future, and Verizon is throwing everything they have at it. So how do these specs stack up in real-world situations, is what you're probably asking right now. As you can probably tell from the video thus far, the phone is absolutely blazing fast. Opening applications, switching between applications is done without much hesitation or lag. I can only count a few times that I saw any type of shuddering going on or any type of slowdown. It's been a great experience for me over these past few weeks, and one of the best experiences I've had on Android, period. One test I like to do is play one of the most graphically intensive games on mobile, and that is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Well, it's almost on par with NVIDIA's Shield. The Adreno 420 GPU is amazing. It's a beast. It was able to handle this game without much problems, and it actually didn't heat up the phone like other iterations would. And this should be seen as one of the industry leaders for this. This phone literally screams through anything you're attempting to do with it, and it makes using it that much more enjoyable. I'm not a huge fan of benchmarks, but the Droid Turbo benchmark scores are amazing with all the benchmark tests. If you take a look at the written companion piece linked down below, you can see the results. Motorola states when it comes to battery, you get 48 hours of mixed use. As car manufacturers do with miles per gallon, estimates usually fall a bit short for the average person. Now, I was able to get around 29 hours of battery life after a few tries, and this is just using the phone normally, on Wi-Fi most of the time with around 4 hours of on-screen time. It's still one of the best batteries you can get on a mobile device, period. The included turbo charger provides you with around 8 hours of battery life and 15 minutes of charge time, which isn't a big deal for me since the battery is great on its own, but the added bonus and flexibility to charge quickly just makes an awesome battery life even better. The Turbo comes from the factory running the latest version of Android. At the time of its release, that is Android 4.4.4 KitKat. Motorola made a statement during its keynote that it would get L as soon as possible. However, you'll quickly find out that it's not running a stock version of Android per se. You have Verizon software baked into it and also Motorola software baked into it. But it's not as bad as some devices. It does a good job at actually staying out of your way. But I do prefer a 100% stock Android experience. Some of the software that is baked into the Turbo is quite useful. The Droid Zap software may not be new, but it's a pretty decent refresh. It searches for other people using Droid Zap, and then it brings in all photos in a real-time stream. You can then fling photos to another person using the Droid Zap software, and it also has built-in Chromecast support. Heck, even iOS users can install it from Motorola's website. The Moto Assist is back with its newest update. Most of the features that you know and love are still there, but it has the ability to interact with other applications. Once you trigger your keyword, which is totally customizable, you can then have Moto Assist post to Facebook, set reminders, and do an array of other activities that are housed outside the Assist application. It's a good start, but it gets pretty annoying that it opens up Google almost every single command. It makes me question why I'm even using this. Why don't I just go to Google directly? Also, it doesn't have support for Hangout, so I can't reply to a Hangout message via my voice. It's a good start, but it really needs some work. My favorite software feature is the active notifications. Since the screen is AMOLED, it only lights up the needed pixels to show the notification. The phone pulses information so at a glance you can see your notifications. You can also interact with the messages by just pressing it down. You can dismiss the message by flicking it away, or even cycle through multiple messages all on your lock screen while the screen is mostly off. It saves battery and it handles notifications in a very elegant way. The notifications also light up when you reach for the phone as well. Just a nice touch. There are also plenty of other software enhancements built into the device that are less significant, and you may end up turning them off or not using them. But it's also good to see Motorola packing this phone with as many features as possible. The Droid Turbo features that 21 megapixel camera at f2.0. The camera utilizes a tap to focus and shoot, which has mixed reviews. It's a pretty simple camera software. Once you fire it up, you really know what to do. At the bottom, you'll find a toggle to toggle from front facing to back, and to the bottom right, you can see a switch from video to still shots. If you slide to the far left, a menu will display, and this will give you all of your camera controls. Now you don't see a lot of controls like you'll find on like the Galaxy S5 or even the HTC One, but for the average camera photographer out there, they don't really dig into these menus. It's really a direct shooter. It doesn't have that many bells and whistles, but you will find normal shooting modes like HDR, panorama, and just a few other features. And it may not have a lot of features, but it takes pretty good shots. There's a lot of detail and the colors are pretty good. But being spoiled by the LG G3 and the Galaxy S5's camera software, it's hard for me to like Motorola's camera software. I do appreciate that it's minimalistic, but I still wish I had more control. But majority of the pictures that I take come out really well. The auto HDR mode kicks on when it needs to, but a lot of times it grabs the natural light and produces a very fantastic picture. Now the rear-facing camera is very good. It pulls out colors very well. The sound of the microphone sounds very good. And also you have 3 different shooting modes. You have 720p resolution at 120 frames, which gets you some pretty decent slow motion. You have 1080p at 30 frames per second, which I'm shooting right now and looks fantastic actually. And also you have the 4K resolution, which you can upload directly to YouTube, and you can also play it on your 4K TV. Now it does play back on your device or non-4K devices, but obviously it is being downscaled tremendously. Now I put this camera just a notch below the G3 and also the S5, but it's still a very good camera. After using this phone for about 2 weeks as my daily driver, I came to the conclusion that this is probably the best phone on Verizon right now. Of course, it depends on which brand you like more, because obviously there's the usual suspects. You have the Galaxy S5 and the Note, and also the HTC One M8. But this is a brand new phone, and if you're going to buy a phone on contract and you're stuck with it for 2 years, you should get the latest phone that's really good. Now the specs on this phone is something that's top notch right now. So coming into next year when the new flagship phones are coming out, this phone should be able to compete with those guys still. It has 3 GB of RAM, and it is set up for 64-bit architecture. So when Android L starts rolling out with 64-bit architecture built into it, this phone will take advantage of it. Now there's no such thing as future-proof technology, but this is the closest thing to it when it comes to a mobile phone. As always guys, my name is Kevin the Tech Ninja. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel, because we are your source for all things Android. Take care guys.